When you are learning a language, you often hear people talk about a level of fluency. Hi, I'm Calida, and I'm here with ESL Universe today to give you 3 tips to becoming fluent in English. Before we can get started with learning how to be fluent, we need to understand what fluency is. The dictionary tells us that fluency is the ability to speak or write a foreign language easily and accurately. That definition makes it a bit challenging to measure fluency using numbers. Instead, it means that there are 2 measures of fluency in any given conversation: your perception and the perception of the person who is listening to you. You are the only person who can decide how easy it is for you to speak a language. How hard do you have to think to make sure that your words and grammar are correct? Do you have to work hard to make sure that your mouth position is correct so that your pronunciation is right? Asking yourself questions about this can help you determine how easily you can speak or write the language. However, the person who you are speaking or writing to also has a measure of how fluent you are. They can assess this by considering how accurately you are communicating. They may think about if all the words that you are using are the best words to use in a given context, and they will definitely consider if they can understand the syllables that you are saying. We can also look at fluency another way. A good way to put fluency into context is to think about if you are speaking well without hesitating or stopping to think of vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. To be fluent, you need to be able to connect words and sounds quickly in a smooth way. This includes having the mental ability to think in the language quickly enough to be able to continue your thoughts without stopping to translate. As you can probably tell, this means that fluency depends on a lot of factors. Honestly, because it depends on the topic of conversation and the person that you are talking to, it can be evaluated differently in different circumstances as well. Ultimately, if you are trying to learn a language and you want to be more fluent, the absolute most important thing for you to do is practice. However, as much as you may understand this in theory, it can be hard to figure out ways to do it practically. Here are 3 tips to help you practice and therefore become more fluent. Let's count down. Number 3, listen up. The reality is that input is how we learn before we ever have the chance to produce language ourselves. Input includes any activity that requires our brains to understand language, such as reading and listening. This essential piece of language learning cannot be underestimated. Without enough input, language development won't progress well because you won't have enough knowledge to express yourself clearly and accurately in real-life situations. The best part is that with the resources available to you, there is an almost infinite amount of input waiting for you. In many areas of the world, there are libraries available with books of many different lengths, difficulty levels, writing styles, and genres for you to read. There are also audiobooks, movies, and classes and groups to join. If you find it hard to get to a library, that's okay. The internet can provide you with all of the input that you could possibly want, right to your computer or even phone. You may wonder how you can get the most learning benefits from input. So I'll give you some ideas of how to increase your input. Number 1, read a storybook. You can either read this to yourself or to a child if you have one. You can also choose to read out loud or to yourself. Either way is great. You can choose to read simple, short books or to gradually increase the length and complexity of book that you are reading. No matter how you do it, you're helping yourself improve your English skills. Number 2, listen to a story on a podcast or through an audiobook. Even if you don't have time to sit down and read much, you can download podcasts and audiobooks to listen to on your commute to work. Every minute of input counts. Try to find a daily podcast that you like, because that will give you the motivation to listen every day and get practice understanding what is being said. Number 3, watch a video on YouTube or a movie. Try to understand what the people are saying. But if you're having a hard time, you can also turn subtitles on in your native language just to help you out. Just make sure that you're still focusing on the English being spoken. If your reading skills are good, you can also turn on the subtitles in English for a bit of support while getting even more input. You can also adjust the speed that it plays at, since slowing things down can help you understand more of what you're hearing. Ultimately, anything that has you reading or listening in English will help you to learn more of the language, so keep reading and listen up. Number 2, put it in writing. Let's face it, how much you write as an adult often depends on your job. This often has an impact on how important you consider writing skills to be. While I do think that there is value in everyone learning how to write well, that's not what this is about. First of all, writing can help you receive more input, which we've already discussed is critical for language learning. For example, you can share your thoughts or feelings on social media and have other people respond to your comments. When you read those comments, you are getting additional language input. You are also having a conversation, which gives you great practice communicating in English in a low-pressure setting, since you can take your time to think about your vocabulary and grammar while you are writing your response. If you're not quite ready to write something that others can read, another great way to practice writing is to keep a daily journal. This doesn't have to be a big thing. Try writing 3 or 4 sentences a day. This can help you practice any words that you have learned that day while still improving your writing. There are 3 other things that this can be used for as well. Number 1, you can give your journal to your teacher and ask them for some feedback to help you improve your writing. Remember that any corrections that are made are simply helping you practice better. Number 2, you can use it to practice reading when you review it later. Number 3, it can serve as evidence of how much you're improving. If you write something every day for a year, then a year later go back and read your first entries, it may surprise you how much better your English skills are. Another way that you can practice your English skills and your writing is by translating. This can be beneficial for both yourself and for others. As you translate, you make connections in your brain between your native language and English, which will help you when you are using English and needing to make translations in your head. Try to translate something from a subject that you are interested in every day. One way that you can do this is by picking a YouTuber that talks about something that you like and then contribute to a subtitle translation. For example, if the subtitles are in English, try translating the subtitles into your own language for others who don't understand as much English as you yet. As you improve your English skills, find something that you enjoy watching in your own language and then translate the subtitles to English. Finally, one of the most important things that you can use writing for is to set goals. Goal setting can help you have a target to reach in your language learning journey, and properly set goals can be motivating as you achieve them. As you reach your goals, set new ones. This can help you track your learning over time while continuing to push yourself to improve. For example, you can set a goal to learn a certain number of words every day. You should learn at least 1 new word a day to quickly gain fluency, and in reality, it would be better to learn more than 1 per day. Those new words may come from input that you receive, for example, when reading or watching something, or from simply looking up a new word that you think will be useful for you. Keep a word diary to track the words that you are learning, and then use that word list when you write in your journal every day to practice the new words that you know. Do you see how all of these tips can link together? Finally, number 1, the most important thing. Speak, speak, and then speak some more. Often, fluency is measured based on your speaking, as we discussed earlier. Therefore, if you want to be fluent, you need to speak. Nothing else is as important to practice as speaking if you want to improve your speaking. When you are writing your goals, set a target for how much you are going to speak every day. I recommend that you do this as often as you can, at least 15 to 30 minutes a day. Since most of us don't speak to ourselves, this involves searching out opportunities to practice speaking. Some ideas for ways to practice speaking include participating in English groups, finding an online language exchange partner, and going to classes. The absolute best way to get the most out of any of your groups or classes is to find one that has native English speakers as part of it. This is helpful because you can hear how they talk, and they can also give you feedback to improve your own speaking. If you find a language partner who is not a native English speaker, you can always make notes and then later check with your teacher to make sure that what you're learning in the language exchange is correct. Realistically, anything that you do works equally well as long as you are doing it. If you are going to join a group or a class, recognize that listening to others is important, but if you don't speak, you're only benefiting from the input of others, not from practicing speaking. This is still valuable. However, it may not help you as much as it could. This means that if you choose to join a conversation class, you should be actively trying to participate. Recognize that this can be hard, but get used to situations that feel difficult and push through it. Over time, it will get easier and more comfortable, especially if you live in a country that speaks English and you are in an immersion environment. Realize that everyone else that is learning English probably feels the same way that you do, and you absolutely have something valuable to contribute. If you're not quite ready to practice speaking in front of other people, that's okay too. I recommend that you find a quiet and comfortable space for you to still practice speaking out loud. A great way that you can do this is through imitation. Imitation is one of the best ways to improve your English because it teaches you to listen carefully and then mimic the mouth movements of the speaker. Make sure that you do this somewhere that you feel you can do it properly, even if you feel uncomfortable to start. This is because in order for imitation to be effective, you must speak out loud. Keep in mind that learning a language is like learning a musical instrument. You need to practice every day to become fluent, and you can't just practice for one day and expect to improve. Keep watching ESL Universe's videos, and if you can, try to join one of our classes to get some extra practice in. As you practice every day, I promise you that you will see progress in your language goals. See you next time on ESL Universe.